Welcome to this online service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. Our mission is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Bradley Convis, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. While we cannot be together face-to-face today, we are grateful to be together in spirit as we gather in this virtual space. It's not the same thing as being with each other physically, but it's what we have for now. And we hope that you will find this time comforting and sustaining. If you're a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please let us know you're here by posting a comment on our Facebook live feed or by getting in touch with our membership coordinator, Bethany Thornton. You can reach her at sunnyhillmembership@gmail.com. We would love to let you know how you can connect with the congregation, even though we are closed at this time. Today's sermon will be delivered by Joe Barker, who participated in Reverend Jim's sermon writing class this year. I took part in the class as well, and I can tell you, you're in for a real treat. Joe has really done an excellent job crafting and delivering this sermon. Our opening words, titled Empowering the Fathers of This World, were written by Lorraine Bortkoff McNeil. Today is Father's Day, a day in which we honor and offer gratitude for our fathers, in whatever form or fashion they come into our lives. Biological fathers, stepfathers, adoptive and foster fathers, grandfathers, spiritual fathers, and all of the uncles, brothers, and friends who, whether they know it or not, have helped to fill the role of father in someone's life. We are shaped by their presence and their absence, by how they choose to act and when they abstain, what they say and when they remain silent. Let us remember today and always the impact that these people have on us as individuals and as a community. And let us also remember that this relationship is not one-sided, that we, as a community, are called to support and empower the fathers of the world, no matter how they came into their roles and regardless of their relative success or failure. Let us rise up their triumphs and let us have the grace to forgive them their all too human failures. Let us love our fathers and each other. Come, let us worship together.
Please join us in saying the words for lighting our chalice. May this chalice flame challenge each of us to cherish our dreams, for all things worth doing begin in the courage and inspiration of a dream. Please rise in body and or spirit and join in singing our hymn, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. While the hope of life's perfection fills our hearts with joy and love, teach Teach us ever to be faithful. May we still thy goodness prove. Come, thou fount of every vision, lift our eyes to what may come. See the lion and the young lamb dwell together in thy home. Hear the cries of war fall silent, feel our love glow like the sun. When we all serve one another, then our heaven is begun. Come, thou fount of inspiration, turn our lives to higher ways. Lift our gloom and desperation, show the promise of this day. Help us bind ourselves in union, help our hands tell of our love. With thine aid, O fount of justice, earth be fair as heaven above.
Good morning. Today's sermon topic is inspiration. For our children's story, we're going to be learning about someone who I find very inspirational, Dr. Mae Jemison.
Mae Among the Stars, written by Rhoda Ahmed, illustrated by Stasia Burrington. Little Mae was a dreamer. They say that daydreamers never succeed, but little Mae was different. One day, Mae was working on an assignment for school about what she wanted to be when she grew up. What will you tell them, Mae? I will tell them that I want to see Earth. This is Earth, Mae, her mother said. The flowers, the grass, the forest, and the mountains. We live on Earth. I know, but I want to see Earth from out there. That's an amazing plan, little Mae. Then you have to become an astronaut. That way you can see Earth from space. Astronaut? Do you think I could do that? Of course you can. If you can dream it, if you believe it, and work hard for it, anything is possible. Mae asked her mom to take her to the library. She searched for books about space and astronauts. After dinner, Mae drew pictures of space, and she even made her own astronaut costume out of old orange curtains and cardboard boxes. Later, she asked her dad, "But how do I become an astronaut? It seems impossible." "You will find your way, Mae, because if you dream it, believe in it, and work hard for it, anything is possible." But space is so far away. It's closer than you think, little Mae, and you may get there sooner than you think. That night, Mae had a happy dream. She was dancing in space, surrounded by billions of sparkling stars. Below her, she could see Earth floating and turning like a shining crystal ball. The next morning, Mae told her parents about her dream. She wanted to tell everyone, and every time she talked about it, her eyes would light up. In the classroom, Miss Bell told everyone to stand in a line on the rug. Today, we are going to share our dreams about the future. What do you want to be, and what do you want to do when you grow up? Who wants to go first? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a teacher, football player. I want to be a mom. I want to go to space. I want to be an astronaut. All the kids started laughing. Miss Bell asked, "Mae, are you sure you don't want to be a nurse? Nursing would be a good profession for someone like you." "I don't want to be a nurse. I want to be an astronaut." Mae felt very disappointed. On her way home from school, Mae was quiet. She looked out the car window. Her world turned blue and cold. Nothing was the way it used to be. At home, Mae started crying. Miss Bell said I can't become an astronaut. "What a silly thing to say," her mother said. "She told me I should be a nurse instead," said Mae. Her mom wiped away her tears. "My dear Mae, I hope you didn't believe her." "Of course I believed her. She's my teacher." "I'm sorry Miss Bell didn't encourage you, but she can't stop you. No one could stop you. Follow your dream, May, and go to space. Thank you, Mom. I promise when I get to space, I'll wave to you and Dad from the spaceship. Her mom took her hand and they started dancing. You must repeat to yourself, if I could dream it, if I can believe in it, and if I work hard for it, anything is possible. May went on dreaming, believing, and working really hard. And guess what? She went to space and waved to her mom and dad on Earth. The end.
Mae Jemison was born in 1956 in Decatur, Alabama. She always loved science, being outside and looking up at the stars, knowing that one day she would travel to space. She enrolled at Stanford University at only 16 years old and studied chemical engineering before going on to become a doctor and then a medical officer in the Peace Corps. When she returned home, Mae decided to follow her childhood dream of going to space. She applied to NASA and was accepted, becoming the first African-American female astronaut. In 1992, her dream of going to space finally came true, when she traveled on the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Dr. Mae Jemison is such an inspiration. She teaches us to never give up on our dreams.
Good morning. My name is Angela Klein, and I am a member of the Sunnyhill Pastoral Care Team, whose purpose it is to reach out to members of Sunnyhill going through challenging or significant life events, whatever they may be, offering the loving presence that binds our community together. If you want to get in touch with us, you may contact us directly or call the church office or send an email to pastoralcare@sunnyhill.org. Each week at this time in the service, we share joys and sorrows submitted by members of the congregation. We share the things that we are celebrating as well as the things that we are mourning so that they do not need to be held alone. Joys and sorrows may be submitted online from our website. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." A sorrow from Ellen Vay. My son Gabriel has been furloughed from his job. He is facing a tremendous amount of uncertainty. This worries me a great deal. To Ellen, her son Gabriel, and their family, we hold you in our hearts. A joy from Elizabeth Scanlon. After a very long hiatus from heart surgeries, Tom Scanlon had 2 stents placed on June 18th. He will be scheduled to get another stent in a couple of weeks. We are grateful for the fact that the stents continue to allow Tom to enjoy his retirement. Thanks to our family for their ongoing support. To Tom and the Scanlon family, we hold you in our hearts. A sorrow from the Craig family. Anne Marie and the entire Craig family are grieving the passing of their beloved guinea pig, Sparky. Love, hugs, and healing thoughts would be appreciated. To Anne Marie and the Craig family, we hold you in our hearts. Let us bear in mind all these joys and sorrows, as well as those that are held too closely to be shared. Thank you.
I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Beyond and beneath the rumbling and roaring, beyond and beneath the chaos and cacophony, beyond and beneath the storms and sorrows, a still, small voice calls us to listen, calls us to pause and be still, calls us to slow down and ease up. Let us take a moment of stillness, a moment of silence to listen simply and intently to what waits below, the din and the discord of everyday life. When we are still enough, when we allow peaceful silence to enter our noisy lives, when we take a moment to stop doing and simply be, we may hear a clear, calming voice singing a comfortable song that has been with us all along. May we listen to the voice of stillness, and may our best and truest selves emerge, humming, sighing, singing. Amen.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
As a teenager, I discovered your orchestral piece, Fanfare for the Common Man, or as us UUs would more than likely rename, Fanfare for the Common People. I would listen to it on my record player in the late evening in the darkness of my bedroom. It made me feel something spiritual, motivational, and inspirational. Written in 1942 by Aaron Copland for the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, Copland found his inspiration from Vice President Wallace's speech on the century of the common man, and then subsequently the role that was played by many Americans throughout this country during the Second World War. For me, the philosopher Nietzsche put it so well in a few words. He said, without music, life would be a mistake. Along with many other life experiences, I agree with Nietzsche. I had a very close friend from my childhood that told me a number of years ago that he found nothing in his life inspirational. During one conversation, he asked me what I found inspirational. I told him the names of books, poems, music, architecture, parks, and other favorite places in nature, my love of biking and hiking, events, including tragedies, and most importantly, the people in my life as inspirational. He told me that what I described sounded more like a project than an inspiration. He told me he wanted inspiration to find him, astound him, grab hold of him as a surprise. I responded that inspiration happens to me often, and often when I least expect it. Recently, one morning while walking, I heard the most beautiful sound, a bird singing up in a tree. I could not see the bird, but I decided that the bird's song was just for me. It made me feel peaceful and calm and ready to take on a new day. My lifelong friend in his youth became a corporate attorney, reading legal documents and providing very complex opinions to corporate leadership. In his 50s, he became a sculptor and told me on numerous occasions how happy, engaged, and fulfilled this artistic endeavor made him. He gave me one of his magnificent creations, a beautiful rust red vase. I told him that when I see this vase, I think of him and the beauty that he brings to others. I told him that his work is an inspiration to me. He laughed and he told me quite jokingly that I should be the lead in a fantasy Disney movie that has a wonderful, happy, inspirational ending. How does one prepare for the wonder of inspiration? I was fortunate to have in my life my Uncle Regis. He would visit our home almost weekly with my Aunt Eileen and their 7 children. Remember, we were Irish Catholic. He found daily joy and laughter in the simplest of events, encounters with people, and just life in general. He often started his visits at our home with the words, "Joey, wait till I tell you what happened today or happened this week." He would mention a new song, a special moment with a friend, a vintage car he saw on the road, his children's many adventures, a joke he had heard, or a good meal my aunt had prepared. His joy for life was infectious and showed me that I just had to look for it. I learned to try to look around me and take in what life had to offer. The other lesson I learned from my Uncle Regis and other family elders, quite honestly, is to accept and deal with life's sorrows and pain, and in this process of dealing, join with my family and friends. Share it, talk about it, learn from it. The death and loss of our family members and friends was one very critical moment in this process. Besides going to Conroy Funeral Home, our funeral home, and Holy Innocents Church for the funeral mass and burial, family members and friends, often led by my Uncle Regis, would share stories of the deceased life, especially the stories, those ones that were most memorable. In our family, the tradition was that we would gather in one of the family homes after the funeral home closed in the evening, and also on the day of burial, we would gather at a home. In those days, typically, there were at least 2 and sometimes 3 days of viewing. So the family and friends could be together as many as 4 times. We would eat, drink, and be together. We shared the deceased's good and not so good moments, and events that brought laughter and tears to those gathered. In so many words, I learned that death can definitely be difficult, sad, but also supportive and inspirational. My takeaway from this experience, that I have this one life, and what am I going to do with this one life? It's my choice, my life. So I learned from living and listening that I have a choice in finding inspiration in my life. I experienced inspiration in joys and sorrows of life, and I try, not always so successfully, to take advantage of as many opportunities as possible to be in the moment in order to absorb and value the inspiration that comes my way. So besides my lifelong friend, the attorney that then became a sculptor, and my Uncle Regis, I have, I think, a very unique community-wide experience of inspiration and inner commitment of those that were involved in this inspiration action. While living in Key West, Florida, during the 1980s and 1990s, I knew and observed a group of folks living with the dread and tragedy of AIDS all around them. These folks transitioned from a state of traumatized grief to inspirational action to take care of those suffering from AIDS. This group of everyday common people met one afternoon on the porch of one of their homes on the same block I had lived in, and they decided to take decisive action on behalf of those suffering from AIDS. Remember, at this point, the local, state, and federal governments offered little support for the victims of this disease. A number of local churches viewed the disease as a punishment for a lifestyle in violation of the scriptures. Unfortunately, many families and friends wanted nothing to do with those suffering. In some cases, those suffering from AIDS were days away from hunger, being homeless, lacking resources to afford basic medical care. Something had to be done. This group of folks organized and created a not-for-profit called AIDS Help to address the needs of those suffering this disease. Their commitment inspired many community members to work with them to address the numerous needs involved. They met with community political leaders, prominent social leaders, chambers and rotaries, various community groups, including the very influential Key West Women's Club. They spoke at supportive churches and set up information tables at a wide range of community events, from parades to sporting events, even the 4th of July fireworks celebration. They were present and they were doing outreach. They met with the employers of those suffering, the owners and managers of restaurants, hotels, bars, hair salons, shops, and grocery stores. They found several prominent allies and developed a plan to provide daily meals from restaurants, subsidized housing through the generous support of several wealthy community members, and facilitated support groups for those suffering, including their families, their neighbors, and their friends. They worked hard to get people on Medicaid and recruited several supportive doctors and nurses to donate their time and their talents to care for those suffering. They very quickly became recognized as a force to be reckoned with in the face of this terrible disease. In order to provide ongoing financial support, they developed this small but very, very dedicated group of folks a comprehensive fundraising plan. They developed a subsidized housing approach with the local housing authority. They recruited donor commitment pledges from many in the community, both the smallest of amount and sometimes extraordinary large amounts, all in the hope of engaging and inspiring an entire community to support those that could not support themselves. I'm proud to say that now, after 30 years, these friends of mine in this organization has broad community support and has adapted their mission to include persons with disabilities. When I encountered these folks at speaking engagements, political gatherings, fundraisers, and meetings, I recognized, and so did others, their intentional and inspirational actions and commitment in light of their own pain and despair. They transformed their grief into action, initiative, and motivation that inspired the whole community. What an example of inspiration on behalf of many lacking the power and the prestige to advocate and care for themselves. Interestingly to me, I now recognize that this inspirational action, among numerous other initiatives and organizations, including AIDS Help, exposed many people to the presence of LGBTQ folks in their midst, their neighbors, their friends, even family members. I think AIDS Help and these other organizations help to motivate a more broad-based love and support for the LGBTQ community and their rights. Inspirational acts often have unexpected consequences. Inspiration comes from a wide range of life experiences and can motivate many to do more for themselves and others. One of the inspirational poems that I read on occasion, because I love poetry, is the poem My Symphony by William Ellery Channing, the nephew of the prominent Unitarian minister, Dr. William Channing. This poem reads, "To live content with small means, to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion, to be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich, to study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly, to listen to the stars, the birds, the babes, and sages with an open heart, to bear all cheerfully. In a word, to let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious, grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony." Each of us, I believe, has a symphony within us that it can inspire us to be our better selves, and in that process, to inspire others to rethink how to make this life and world a more just and loving place and experience for the many. From fanfare for the common man to my lifelong friend, my dear Uncle Regis, and the courageous founders of AIDS Help, I recognize inspiration as an influencing and arousing process that can stimulate us and motivate us mentally and emotionally to do something creative and extraordinary. It often can lead to new attitudes, approaches, actions, and unexpected consequences. The power of inspiration comes both from within and around us, and is based often on our value systems, our UU principles, our life experiences, beliefs, aspirations, friendships, and mentors. Inspirational action can definitely make us more fulfilled and human if we embrace and act on it. It can often feel, to me, like an ongoing fulfillment of our unique personhood. Inspiration is an enduring part of our unique human nature. It is an inner commitment in us, and we can't stay committed until we attain at least part or all of our goals. Inspiration propels us to achieve something greater than ourselves, to be a part of something greater than ourselves, and with the engagement of others often makes us and the life in us and around us better than it currently is or will be. My friends, be inspired. Let it be so.
Please join us in saying the words for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We'll close with these words by Jim Wickman. May our faith sustain us, our hope inspire us, and our love surround us as we go our separate ways, knowing that we will gather again in this beloved community. Go in peace and stay in peace.